In our last session we understood about the database statement categories, in that the DML statement and also the TCL statement. In today's class we will understand about the DQL, data query language. Very important. Please listen carefully. Select statements. Okay, so what is the use of select statement now? Okay, select statements are used to fetch the data to application layer from database layer, or else from the database tables, let's say. Okay, select statements are used to fetch the data from application layer, okay, to application layer from the database tables. Okay, this is what the use of select statements. Okay, let's say so these are the database tables. Okay, so the data will be stored here in the database tables, right? So for business purpose, let's say if business want to see some report, that means the customer or the client want to see some report to run their business, so then we have to bring the data to the application layer. So this is where the data will be stored permanently, but we have to bring this data to application layer and do or apply some calculation and display these results in the presentation layer. So for doing that, we need to bring this data to the application layer. So how do we bring this data? From the database layer we have to use the select statements. Understood? This is where the data will be stored. So now what we do, we use the select statement. Okay, so select statement connects to the database and bring the data to the application layer. So this is a select, it create a connection to the DB, okay, database layer, and bring whatever the data that is being stored in the database table to the application layer. Okay, and it will, if you are bringing, we need some memory in application layer. Either it can be a work area if you are bringing single record, or it can be an internal table if you are bringing multiple rows. Understood? So this is what select statements do. Clear? Guys, understood? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's understand about the different types of select statements that we have. Maybe the first one, let's log into the system. First of all, to store the data in an internal table or somewhere in application layer, we need internal table or okay, let's declare IT underscore Mara type table of Mara. I'll just declare the table like Mara, and I'll write select statement. Okay, let's say select star from Mara table. Okay, and then store this into table, store it in application layer into table IT underscore Mara, where material number let's see what data we can bring from the database table. Okay, there are 15 rows from 1 to 100. Let's say material number between 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 and then 18. So zeros we need to add, and because conversion routine 1 to 100. Okay, so material number between 1 to 100. Okay, let's do pretty printer. Otherwise you can also write some other condition here if you want to. You can check the material type. Based on material type you can also bring the data, but okay, that's fine. Let's use the material number only. Okay, so let me check for an error, no errors, and activate the program, and we will keep the breakpoint here. Okay, so first of all I have declared an internal table which has all the columns of the Mara table because I'm using select star here. Okay, so what is the meaning of star, right? Star is used to fetch all the columns data of the database table. Okay, so star is used to fetch all the columns data of the database table. Okay, that's what the use of star. Okay, so now in the IT Mara, even we have all the 307 columns. You see, totally there are 307 columns. I will execute now this statement. Now you see 15 rows are coming. Okay, so this is how you select all the columns of the table. If you click on this icon here, table in ALV, it will display in this format where you can see all the columns data. See, all 307 columns data is coming. That is what star means, select all columns data. Understood? Are we clear on this? Understood what select statement is doing? You see what are the data that is being stored in the database table here, right? It is bringing it to the application layer, right? That's what the select statements are doing. You see here 46 62 65 64, see 46 62 64 65, this also coming, but it is little jumbled actually. You see 12 13 and all here somewhere, right? Any doubts here? Any doubts? Okay, if I don't want this all columns of the table, if I only need few columns of the table, so how do I fetch? How do I write select statement to fetch only few columns? For that, before you have to declare a structure. So to declare structure in simple way, what you can do is you can click on the pattern button here, and after that with fields you select and enter the table name as what are the table you want to bring. Select, enter Mara, and then I only need few columns from this table. Okay, I only need this columns data from the table. Then just replace the data with the types keyword, because if you use data it allocates memory for the structure, sorry, for this one. So I don't want this as a memory. I don't want the system to allocate memory for this. I just want it as a structure, so that I can later declare an internal table here. Let's say it underscore Mara type table of the structure ts underscore Mara. Okay, so this is a structure that I declared. And then in the select statement, instead of using star, you can just copy these columns from the structure, say copy, and paste it here, and then say from Mara, and after that everything remains same into table it underscore Mara. Okay, so where records between right. So let's say select no errors and then activate the program. So after that let's keep the breakpoint here and then execute. So now you see it is not going to bring all the columns data, and even in internal table I have 6 columns here, right? Only 6 columns data will be fetched from the database table to the application layer, that is to the internal table. You see it right now. If I execute this select statement, and you see it is bringing those 15 rows, right? But not all columns this time, only the columns which I mentioned in the select statement. Okay, this is how you also tell the system to bring the data from a database table, only few columns of the database table, right? Understood or not?
Yes. So if you want the separate, separate column, then you should create the structure, right?
Correct.
Without structure,
Correct.
you won't get it.
Yes. So if you only need few columns of the database table, then you have to create structure and internal table, and then you have to mention those columns, which columns you are to bring in the select statement.
Okay.
Okay, so now the next one, maybe I'll just keep here for me. The next one is select single, right? Select single used to fetch single row from database table. Okay, select single is used to fetch single row. Okay, single row from the database table. Okay, so what happens if more than one row exists in a database table? Okay, let's say for example table is having 5 key fields, and in the select statement where class you're only using 2 key fields. In that case there are chances of existing multiple rows, right? What happens in that case? It only brings the first matching row. Okay, if more than one matching row exists, okay, with the key field with selected key in where class. Okay, so then it will fetch the first matching Okay, you're selecting single row, but there are chances of existing multiple records. In that case, it will bring the first matching row. Okay, so let's say let's go to SE16H. There are two key fields here actually, and I just want to unselect all the columns, and here the group by. Okay, this row, this material exists twice. This one. Let's go back, and I'll just put this material now, and I select all the columns, and I don't want the group by. Execute. You see this row is exist for plant AE20 and also for AE60. Okay, so let's select the data from this table, right? So what I'm going to do, again I'll just declare the structure for this because it's a different table again. So let's say types begin of, maybe I'll just make use of the pattern that is very quick and also recommended one. It's always good practice to use the pattern when we are using uh, when we are trying to create structure, and also copy the fields from the structure to the select statement. Okay, I'll just use two columns, that should be fine as of now. And here I'll just say types, and after that here I'll go and declare an work area, because work area is sufficient. We are just going to bring single row, right? We don't need internal table to store one row. Work area should be sufficient. So let's say select single, okay, matnr, and also wrks from table marc, and please store this into work area underscore marc, where material number is equal to this. Otherwise, let's say we can also do one more thing. We can just take the plant AE02, instead of writing select statement on the material number, let's put it as a AE20. So there are totally 17 rows against plant AE20. Okay, so let's see which one it is going to bring. You see there are 17 rows against the plant. Okay, let's say WRKS is equal to AE20. Okay, and let's end this here, and let's also execute the select statement. Okay, select single, always fetch the single row from the database to application layer. Okay, how do you know how many rows are also been fetched? Okay, so there is a system variable called sy-db, right? It counts the number of rows that is been fetched by the select statement. Okay, first of all, I press F5 here. Now you see one row is been fetched. If you go and check in the marc, it is fetching the 3001 material. Okay, it is fetching this material actually. Okay, only one row. Here you may see data in this form, but in the database this might be the first row in AE20. That's why it is bringing. Okay, so but here in SE16 you may be seeing little bit different, but in the database this is the first row against AE20 plant. Okay, so this is how it works. If there are multiple rows matching the key field, in that case system would bring the first row of the database table. Understood? This is what select single. It is used to fetch single row from the database to application layer. Are we clear? Understood or not? Hello? Okay, so let's continue. Select and select. Select and select. So what happens, it will fetch all the matching rows from database, matching rows from the database tables, and store in application, store in the DBI. Okay, in the DBI. So after that it will start looping between uh, between DBI and the DBI and internal table or work area to copy records. Okay, so this is how the select end select will work. Okay, it will bring all the records from the database and store it in the DBI. Okay, we have something called database interface. It stores the data in the database interface, and after that it will start looping from DBI to application or your memory, whatever the memory that you have. Okay, so first of all what it does is it stores all of it in the DBI here. Okay, so it stores all the records in the DBI first, and later it will start looping between the DBI to the internal table or to the work area to copy rows, whatever the data that is been stored in the DBI, to copy that rows it will start looping. Okay, so it will loop and it will copy the records to the uh, memory of application layer. So this is how select end select will work. Understood? Are we clear on this, how select end select works?
Yes.
It will not directly keep the data in the internal table. Okay, so that is the problem with the, it is not a problem actually, it is used in some cases, very rare. We should avoid using the select and select because the performance of the select statement is will be reduced. Okay, it will not give the better performance, so because of that it will be avoided. But in some cases the memory of the internal table might be full and it might start giving the dump. In that case select and select will be used. I'll show you the different varieties of select and select statements here. So the first one may be let's say the same one, instead of single what we will do is like, otherwise we can comment this statement and we can go with the previous one. Let me uncomment these two lines and also I'll copy the select statement. Okay, so let's not go with the material number now. Let's use the empty art equal to fert. Let's bring all the materials with material type fert, and I don't want to bring it at one shot. Okay, let's keep it in work area first and end select. It works like a loop statement, right? It works like a loop. Let's say write, we can also print the data within the select end select. Okay, let's say write work area underscore mara hyphen let's do why Okay, so now you see it will start looping and reading one by one row from the first of all, let's see SYDB count. I press F5. So you see one row is been fetched to the work area. Okay, it will start looping and fetching one by one row to the work area. Okay, that's how it works. You see now it works like a loop statement. See now again it goes back to the select and one more record from the database interface to the work area now. See, and next again it goes back. It will keep looping until unless it fetches all the rows. Now we are also printing. Okay, so this is one variety of the select end select. There is also one more. Okay, so what you can also do is like you can specify the packet size. Okay, instead of bringing the data to the work area, you can bring it to the application layer into table, sorry, internal table. Okay, then you can tell the system at a time please bring 50 rows. Okay, it can be any number you can mention. Okay, so now I'm saying 50, that means at a time bring 50 rows to the IT Mara. After that please loop. Okay, so loop IT Mara and store it copy it to the work area underscore Mara, and inside that you please print it. Okay, so 50 rows once. Okay, this is how you tell the system please copy 50 rows from the DBI to the internal table. Okay, these are the two varieties of syntaxes we have in the select and select. And I execute. Now you see pack size 50 rows have been copied, and after that it is going to loop, and I'll just press F8 again, another 20 rows, only 20, only totally there were 70 rows. First it copied the 50 and second time it copied the copied another 20 rows. Okay, so now you see it's printing. Okay, this is how we can also specify how many rows can be fetched or copied from DBI to the internal table at once. Understood? Are we clear, guys? So now you understood a little bit of it. So now here we had written yeah.
Rajnish, Rajnish, first time when from the table there were 70 records, first time it picked up 50. Then in line 8, 1 and 15, right, there is a loop statement.
Yes, we are looping and printing the 50 rows. Second time it goes back and pick up another 20 records which is remaining, and again it loops and print it to the output.
Because you are using loop statement because like work area will only hold one set of records.
Yes.
Okay.
We cannot directly say write IT underscore Mara, right?
Yeah.
Understood? Okay, so let's go back and select into table. You see guys, here what we have written, this is the select statement. Select the columns of the database table. This is the source from where the data should be fetched, and this is the target into table, right? And also the where class, we say it as where class. It means we tell the system that what rows or what data should be fetched, right? So that's how you say by putting into table. So let's go back and also write select into table. It brings multiple rows from the database to the application there. Okay, fetch all matching rows from database table to application, database table to internal table. So maybe we'll just keep it after select single. Select single for fetching one matching row, even though there are multiple, but select into table is to fetch. multiple matching rows, and select end select works like a loop. And then next we also have one more, select up to rows. Okay, select up to rows. So it is used to restrict the number of matching number of rows fetched from database to application layer. Okay, so if there are 100 matching rows, you don't need 100, you only need 20, or you only need 1. You can tell the system that only bring 1 row or 100 matching rows. How do you do that? Let's see that in the system. Maybe I'll just copy this statement and comment. Okay, maybe we can use this only. So you see there are 70 matching rows. I don't need all 70 rows. Okay, I'm not interested in 70 rows. I'm only interested in 50 rows of it. Okay, so this is how you can also say just bring 50 rows. And there is also one more way to bring only one row also. Let's say even though there are 50 matching rows, you can also tell the system only bring one row. Okay, and after that please exit. Okay, this is how you also select one row from the if it is one row, then work area underscore mana should be sufficient. Okay, so let's check for an error and we will see both. So here the interview question might be, what is difference between select single here and also select up to rows, up to one row? Both will bring only one row, but what is the difference? So up to one row will be used when the fields are non-key fields, or if you are using partial key fields. That means if there are 5 key fields in a database table and in the where class only 2 or 3 are used, that means you are not using complete key fields fully. In that case up to will be used. If you are using all the key fields of the database, then select single will be used. Okay, so now you observe carefully. So you can also check SYDBCNT to know how many rows have been fetched. I execute, you see 50 rows have been fetched. Even though there are 70 records which is matching FERT material type, it is only going to get the 50 rows for us. Okay, so next is MATNR. I'm saying that please bring only one row. You see only one row is being fetched. After that come out from the select statement, exit. That is how you say select up to one row. Understood? Understood what is up to rows? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's understand select with joins. So far what you have seen is select statement using single table, right? Right, all of you? What if I want to bring data from multiple tables? There are two types of joins again. Select inner join, select inner join, and then in outer join we have again two types. One is select left outer join and select right outer join. Okay, it is used to combine the database table and bring the data. Okay, it is used to combine the database tables data and bring it to the application layer. It is not like you just need data from one table. Let's say you need data from multiple tables. Okay, you need data from multiple tables like this. Okay, you want to combine the database table and you want to bring the data, okay, and you store it in one internal table in an application layer, one internal table or work area in application layer. So that's when the select with joins will be used. Understood? If you are using one internal table, then you can use the above select statement, but if you want to bring the data from the multiple database tables, then you can use the joins. Are we clear? You know what is inner join, you know what is left outer join, you also know what is right outer join. So I don't have to explain it again. If you have forgotten, please go back and check the recordings of the views. Right, inner join always returns matching row from both tables. Outer join irrespective of the table. Entry left means all the record from the left table and matching rows from the right table. Right means all the record from the right table and matching rows from the left table. Right, I don't want to write it again here. So let's understand that in the system. Maybe what we can do to understand this, we can see what data we have in the database table. Mara and MAKT we will take. Mara from 1 to 15, 1 to 100, we have 15 rows. Okay, and let's go to SE16N again and let's check with MAKT table. MAKT 1 to 100 again, and with the language English, this has 12 rows. That means one row is missing. One is existing in MAKT table, but it is not there in, okay, that's good, it is not there in Mara. Okay, so up to 62 we have the data in the Mara, but 62 is not there. Up to 46 we have the matching rows. 6, 7, 8, 9 is not there here, right? So that's good. We can take this table and see what is inner join, what is left outer join, and what is right outer join, right? So let's go back and write the select statement. Select, since we are bringing the data from the two databases, we need to create a structure again. So let's create a structure. I go here and say a pattern. Here I just go with the first Mara and select few columns, MATNR, and maybe these columns from here, and also from again click on the pattern, and from MAKT let's select the material number, language key, and also the description. Okay, we don't need material number because it is already there. I will just delete the material number from the structure. Okay, let's delete it and also delete. Okay, let's create one structure. Okay, you know that structure name can be anything. I'll just keep Mara only. You can also keep Mara and MAKT both, but let's keep it simple. Let's keep it as Mara. Okay, and declare IT underscore Mara only. You can define anything. Type table of, the name can be anything, right? It's completely up to you which name you want to provide. So it doesn't depend. Since I'm using two tables, it's not mandatory you have to put two tables here. Okay, now I declare and then select these columns. Okay, so from Mara you also have to put alias name here. Okay, Mara I'm taking it as A. Since you are taking here it as A, you have to mention these columns are coming from Mara table, that is A tilde. Since you are taking Mara as A, in that case you have to mention it as A. If you don't put alias name, in that case you have to put the table name. Okay, so inner join MAKT as B. Since you are using MAKT as B, you have to put these two columns are coming from table B. That means B is equal to MAKT on A dot A tilde MATNR is equal to B tilde MATNR. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually joining the material table A material with the table B material. That is a common field, right? Inner join or any joins happens between the tables based on the common field. So and then please store into table it underscore mara where matnr matnr between 1 to 100. So this is what inner join. Okay, so let's declare 3 more internal tables like this. 1 2, let's say this one 1 for inner join, 2 for left outer join, and 3 for right outer join. Okay, so let's say this is 1. So do pretty printer, this is inner join, and again I'll copy the same select statement and say here you have to mention the data should come from the main key is table A. Okay, and also let's mention that and spras b tilde spras is equal to system language, that is s5 okay, or you can also hard code it to English, right? You can just need English, just hard code it if you want to. Okay, so that's how you can also say instead of inner join I'll just put left outer join. Okay, that is the difference. Here it is a left outer join. Okay, then after that the last one, the right outer join was not there earlier, it is introduced from NetWeaver 7.4 only in the system. You may not be able to try this because your system version is too low. It is introduced from NetWeaver 7.5 onwards. Okay, your system is too low, you cannot check that. So it is actually a new syntax. So since it is a new syntax, you have to separate all the columns by comma, and also I have to escape the host variables. This will be taught to you in my ABAP on a course when I will be teaching the new syntax. Okay, it won't be what is this hut and all will not be explained in the current course because it's completely a new course. Okay, again new chapter, so that will be covered in the ABAP on HANA. Okay, so UT is nothing but escaping the host variable. That means in a simple word, you're informing the system it underscore mara is ABAP object. It is not a database object, it is an ABAP object. Okay, that's all. At is equal at, you are using at, right? There is a new syntax. You are just informing the informing the system that IT Mara is an ABAP object, and here the column should be comma separated, right? So right outer join. So now here maybe I just use the table B and here table A. Let's do pretty printer and check for an error. Let's understand how this data will be system will bring. Okay, this is for table 2 and this is for table 3. Store in 3 different internal tables. Okay, so what is inner join? It always brings the matching row between these two tables. What are the matching rows between these two tables? What are the matching rows between these two tables? 12, 13, 14, 22, 32, 46 and 62. Only these rows are matching, right? This first 5 rows are not matching, and here the last 5 rows are not matching, I guess. Yeah, last 5, okay, last 3 rows are not matching. Last 4 rows. Okay, it will only bring the matching row in case of inner join. Let's see that in the system now. Please also go back and practice. Select statements are very much important, guys. So now you see IT Mara, I execute. It is only bringing 7 rows. Those are matching. 14, 22, 32, 46, 62, 12 and 13 are matching. Okay, these rows are matching. It is only bringing those rows. Only 7 rows have been fetched. So what happens in case of left outer join? Who will tell me? How many rows it will bring? There are 12 rows in MAKT and 15 rows in MARA table. Left table is Mara and right table is MAKT. How many rows left outer join will bring? 7 rows inner join because only 7 rows are matching. But what happens in case of left outer join? How many rows it will bring? Hello?
7 matching rows and the non-matching rows of the right table.
Left table. It is left outer join, right? How many rows totally? This is left table and then this is right table. I execute. It is bringing totally 15 rows. Why? Now you see, if you go and check the database, it is bringing all the columns data of the Mara table, right? But here for this, there is no data exist for 65, 64, 66 for these rows. It is bringing empty, right? Even it exists. For this row there are no exist in MAKT, that is in the right table. It is bringing all the records from the left table and only matching rows from the right table. Are we clear on this? Left outer join. So what happens in case of right outer join? Anybody, how many rows it might bring? There are 12 entries in MAKT and then 15 entries in Mara. How many rows? It will bring all the records from the right table, that means 12 entries, and matching rows from the left table. That is what right outer join, right? Please go back and revise. You see only 12 entries. All the entries from the left table, if you could see, it's bringing all the data from the left table. See? And only for the rows which are not there, it is just filling with a default value. You see, this is just filled with a space because these are the character data type. These are the 3 different types of joins we have. Anybody, any doubts so far? Are we clear till now? Hello?
Yeah, you are clear. Again, can you just explain this about this inner join?
Okay,
and
inner
right
join is nothing but all the only matching rows between both the tables. Okay, left outer join means all the tables from the left table matching rows from the right table. So right outer join means all the data from the right table and matching rows from the left table. Understood?
Got it.
Okay, so if you want to revise, also please go back and check the views topic. We covered that in the views. Here. Right?
Rajnish, while writing the inner joint and all, you have used A alias. So instead of, if we don't want to do that, we can give the table
let's say
name also
for
directly,
example,
right?
you are not at all interested in alias name. So what happens now? Let's comment the previous below statements. So when I check for an error, it will start throwing me an error saying that MATNR is unknown. I have to tell the system that this MATNR is from Mara table and this is from MAKT table, like this. Okay, first error that you will face. Second error, the MATNR column exists in Mara table also, MATNR exists in MAKT also. From which table you have to bring the MATNR? You have to mention that also. Again there will be another error in 888 because this again exists in both the tables. You have to also tell the system, please bring this. Okay, these are the consequences that you have to face. And if you don't want to use alias name, just use the table name itself. But it will be too big, right? So that's why
Yeah.
we use alias name, just give a shorter name to it. So if your name is too big, like Venkatesh Kulkarni, so we call it in short form Venki, right? That's the alias name of yours, right? So we don't
Yeah.
want to call a bigger name, it is too lengthy. That's why in the select statement also we use the shorter name that is easy for us instead of making it more complicated. This is the other way that you can write the select statement. Okay, so anyways, if you have any doubts you can ask me now. Are we clear so far? Okay, so what is select for our entries? We if it is a not HANA database, okay, I'm connected to HANADB. How do you check? So system status, and here you can see the HDB. The database is HDB, that means HANADB. If it is a MySQL or Oracle or DB1, DB2, Sybase or any other databases, okay, so the joins are not perform well, okay, doesn't give the better performance if more than 3 tables are used here, okay, if you are joining more than 3 tables. So that's when we go with for all entries, first case. And second thing is it allows comparing just need a statement. Okay, that's fine, I'll write my own. Select for all entries, okay, allows us to select the data from database table by comparing or else by passing the previously selected by passing the internal table data, which is by passing the internal table data in the where class of select statement, okay. So it is allows us to pass the database table, fetch data from the database table by passing the internal table data in the where class of the select statement, okay. And this is what, and one more thing is very important mandatory step. So it is mandatory to check the comparison, or else check the for all entry internal table have data, or it is mandatory to check, or it is mandatory has data, okay. So otherwise what happens, otherwise if there are no if there is no data in the for all entry internal table, so where class of the select statement will be ignored, and it will fetch all the records from the database table. Okay, I'll show you what happens if it is ignored and there is a problem. Let's go back and write some select statement. First of all, what we will do, I'll just comment this, and we will create two structures. By using this only I'll create. Begin of ts underscore mekt, end of ts underscore mekt. Okay, so now first of all we will write the select statement. Select this column's data, from Mara into table it underscore Mara, where mtrt is equal to, simply I'll just keep some number, random number. I want the select statement to be failed, and select, let's have one more column here, these three columns from the for this is the for all entry select statement. Okay, so from mekt, and say that into table it underscore mekt, and for all entries, for all the entries in it underscore Mara, and where matnr is equal to it underscore Mara hyphen matnr. I'm comparing the it underscore Mara matnr, I'm passing that it underscore Mara matnr, okay, to the this select statement, but here the first one might fail. Okay, so let's say I'll just that one as issue. I'll refresh the internal tables both. Here, so I'll copy again. In second case, if we write condition, what happens? So if we write, if this, it is mandatory to check if is not initial, right? It's not initial, so then don't bring the data. So it is, this is important to check, have the condition. Okay, so again let's have a refresh here, and then let's bring the data fert. Okay, so I'll do pretty printer, now activate it. So three varieties of select statement to showcase what happens when there is no data, and what happens if there is no data but you have already have a condition in place, and what happens if there is a data and there is also a condition, right? Three scenarios to understand. This is actually interview question. They will definitely ask you why if condition is mandatory in for all entries. Remember, So now you see guys, observe carefully and understand properly. Now IT Mara execute, this select statement failed. There are no records in this internal table. So if there are no records, what should happen here? This should also fail, right? If there are no materials in IT Mara, that means this select statement should also fail and it should not bring any data, right? Hello?
Yes.
So but what happens here, you see it will bring all the records of MAKT table. That shouldn't happen, right? So this is the problem. It is bringing all the records from MAKT table. That should not happen. That is the problem. Because of that reason, I'm just refreshing, we have to maintain the condition here. You see, in this case, it will not even go and execute. If IT Mara is not initial, that means if this internal table has entry, then only execute this. Otherwise, don't execute to avoid the problem that we had, right? So now you see it not executed. Okay, so now the next time I'm going to get the data. There are 70 rows which is matching FERT. Okay, I'm passing all those material to MAKT table and bringing the description of those. Okay, it is why 120 rows, because the language is also D and E both are coming, that's the reason. D means German, E means English. Okay, so this is what select for all entries. Anybody, any doubts so far?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.